Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. We're here with some NFL DFS picks and lineup advice for tonight's single game showdown slate. Monday Night Football divisional matchup. Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants. In this video, we'll talk about lineup construction tips for low risk and high risk contests, injuries that impact the slate, and some general strategies, some leverage, some other tips just to get you to the top of those contest leaderboards. Welcome. I'm Brian Jester, co-founder here at Occupy Fantasy. Single game, $1 million winner. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, get notified when we go live, upload these new videos. Give us a thumbs up if you appreciate the content. Lets us know that we should continue to make more. Any questions, comment on the video below. Happy to answer them throughout the day. If you want a more in-depth answer, you want to talk with us about other topics, you want to sweat this contest with other members of the community, join our Discord, occupyfantasy.com/Discord. Link is in the description below. Let's get to it. So let's talk about these injuries. I just pre-filled in Saquon Barkley at the top of the captain spot because he's going to be the most popular captain we've seen in a while. If you've been playing Showdown for some time, you remember there was a slate last year or maybe a couple years ago. Alvin Kamara, nobody else was in that game. He got 35% captain, set the record for captain ownership on DraftKings on a single slate. We could see Barkley approach that tonight, given the lack of other options in this game. Let's keep that in mind. It's going to be crazy. So obviously that's a leverage point, but we'll talk about that when we get to the high-risk contest section. Instead, let's talk about injuries. I'm going to start from the top down. Michael Gallup missed the first couple of weeks rehabbing his injury. He's expected to return tonight. They released Dennis Houston, who somehow has been playing a decent amount of snaps as an outside receiver in this offense as an undrafted free agent. He's no longer on the active roster. Michael Gallup's going to come back tonight. He'll probably be eased back in, not going to play a full complement of snaps. So as a result, right, as we look at this, Gallup at 7,400 is probably overpriced. On FanDuel, he's definitely overpriced if he's going to play a part-time role. $7,400. And we expect his ownership to be sub 10% probably, based on his projection and what we're reading throughout the industry. If that's the case, high-risk contest, obviously, Michael Gallup makes a ton of sense. Especially, can he outscore Noah Brown? Can he outscore Kenny Galladay, Shepard? Like, yeah, he can outscore those guys, right? Even on 50% of the snaps, 30% of the snaps, given his skill set. So Gallup, high-risk play only, but just realize the leverage that is there. Dalton Schultz, probably the more impactful injury when it comes to lineup construction on this slate. Injured his knee late last week. Really uphill battle. A lot of the injury experts that we trust don't think he's going to play tonight. Very limited. A lot of beat reporters saying he was just doing conditioning work in this Saturday practice. You know, seems really unlikely that Dalton Schultz is going to play tonight. Let's monitor this. Maybe he plays. I'm recording this at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Maybe he plays, but really good chance that he doesn't. So if he's out or if he's limited in any way, that means more snaps for the two other tight ends on the roster. And yeah, we're scrolling all the way down here because they're both $200 on DraftKings. They're both super cheap on FanDuel as well. We have Jake Ferguson, who has been the number 2 tight end so far, has run more routes than Hendershot. But Jake Ferguson has just been operating as the number 2 tight end, so naturally he's been on the field more. If you look at routes per snap rate, it's actually Hendershot who's run more routes, right? Both these guys are going to play a decent amount. We lean towards Ferguson having a safer production, but at $200, these guys open up a lot. On a slate where you don't really need to open up a lot, right? It's not like a Chiefs slate or a Lamar Jackson or something like that, right? There's not a ton of high-value guys that we need to jam in, but these guys can help save salary, whether it's in low risk. I don't know if you need to go there, but because if you look, right, if you play, let's say you captain Barkley and you put in Ferguson, right? 8K left per player. That opens up a ton of roster spots here, a ton of salary for these remaining 4 spots. I don't know if you need to do it in low-risk contests, but high-risk contests, I mean, these guys can save a lot of salary. Starting tight end at $200, can he outscore? I mean, outscore all the way up to 5K players, right? So you can leave a lot of salary if you use those guys, potentially, if they're the starters, right? Okay, who else? Dax is still out, right? So Cooper Rush is going to continue to start once again tonight. And the Giants are dealing with some injuries at receiver. Kadarius Toney is doubtful. Started to get out of the doghouse a little more last week. Played some more snaps. He's not going to play tonight probably. Wan'Dale Robinson is still out. So who are the 3 wide receiver sets for the Giants? Sterling Shepard, miraculously, off his Achilles injury last year. He's going to start and play the most snaps, mostly. Get the most targets, probably. David Sills actually started last week and actually led the team in routes run. Not getting a ton of targets from it. Is getting a ton of cardio, getting his steps in. But at 5K, and we don't expect him to be popular because he hasn't produced much, but he's going to be out on the field a ton. Meanwhile, Richie James has been getting a decent amount of targets as their slot guy, and he saves a lot of salary as well. So those 3 guys, Kenny Galladay, what a sad fall, played just 2 snaps last week. He might have to play a little more tonight out of necessity with Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson out. Or they could just give it to Darius Slayton, who's all the way down here if I can find him. Darius Slayton. Where's Darius Slayton? He'll be the wide receiver 4 probably if they're just, out on Kenny Galladay, as it seems like they might be. So Slayton, $200 as well. So lots of cheap guys. All right, so low risk contests, right? 50-50s, double upside the heads, where we try to maximize points. We try to capture all of the scoring. We can do that with Barkley and Cooper Rush and Daniel Jones. It gets tricky with the Dallas backfield. Obviously, Zeke and Pollard are splitting snaps. Pollard has looked more explosive. I don't know if you can play either one of these guys in low risk contests, at least on DraftKings, where they're 8K each, right? 8,200, 8,400. The kickers and defenses are really good options here, right? In a lower total game, especially the defenses, they're going to be popular, right? So those are guys, probably 2 defenses, kickers, some combo of that group in your low risk lineups on DraftKings. Go over to FanDuel. It's actually a slate where we can play a low risk lineup, right? Because if you MVP Barkley, which most people are going to do, Daniel Jones, Cooper Rush. Normally we can't fit in the top 3 guys on FanDuel, but we can tonight. 82.50 left per player. You could play one of those cheap punts we talked about. You could play, I think Noah Brown is super cheap. Yeah, 7,500, even though he's the wide receiver 3, 8K, right? Not too bad. All these other David Sills, the Giants tight ends who we haven't talked about, they're all super cheap, right? So you can make it work. Fit these 3 guys in and go from there. So actually a pretty reasonable low risk contest tonight. So let's transition to high risk contests. GPPs, leagues, satellites, where we have to beat tons of people to really to win exponential amounts on our buy-ins. How do we do that? We figure out what the field is going to do, and then we pivot from there. That's always the easiest way to look at high-risk contests on showdown slates, especially. So what's the field going to do? This may shock you, but it's actually kind of like last night. If you played that Denver and San Francisco slate where it was basically a pick'em game, right? This game's a close spread as well. But the field gravitated towards San Francisco onslaughts last night. So 3-2 lineups on FanDuel, 5-1 on DraftKings, 4-2 on DraftKings. And it's not necessarily because the field was so, or maybe they were, impressed with San Francisco's pass catchers and offensive players compared to Denver's. It was really just a pricing dynamic. And that similar dynamic comes into play tonight. So what we're going to see is the field play a lot of 4 Giants in one lineup, 5 Giants in one lineup. On FanDuel, 3 Giants in one lineup, which is crazy, right? So the easiest way, obviously, is to not play that way. Play at least 3 Cowboys in all of your GPP lineups. Play at least 2, but maybe 3 over on FanDuel. Or the second way, the obvious leverage, right? If everyone's going to play Barkley at captain, and salary is not really an issue, so that kind of makes sense, right? He's going to be even more popular because you can fit him in. If he's the highest scorer, he's likely going to be the optimal captain. I think our favorite play, and the Daily Plug will confirm this later today, OccupyFantasy.com, rankings for each contest type, lineup construction tips for different contest sizes, contest recommendations. That'll outline this, but CeeDee Lamb's got to be our favorite captain here, right? Underperformed his opportunity through 2 weeks. Yes, he's had Cooper Rush for most of the time, but that target share and that air yard share is out of control. And on a slate where CeeDee Lamb is going to be sub 10% captain spot, probably, right, around that angle, with nobody else on this, right, like Daniel Jones, Cooper Rush, Zeke and Pollard splitting, Shep, like no one else really to take it away, and he's still going to be sub 10% probably. Just start your high risk lineups with this, right? Pair him with Cooper Rush. Play Barkley in the flex if you have to. There's enough salary. There's enough savings to do it. CeeDee Lamb, massive ceiling. In fact, I would argue a higher ceiling than Saquon Barkley tonight at a cheaper price at a fraction of the captain ownership. Same goes over on FanDuel. Obviously, receivers get there a little less on FanDuel with the half-point PPR scoring. But our model really likes Cooper Rush tonight. In fact, it ranks Cooper Rush as the most likely to outperform his salary expectations. So MVP Cooper Rush. Remember, Giants onslaughts, Barkley MVPs and captains. That's what the field's going to do. Anything that's different than that automatically differentiates you. So, and remember those values, the tight ends on both sides, Dallas and the Giants, they allow you to leave a lot of salary as well. So it's a salary is fake kind of slate. Not necessarily some of these slates we've seen in the past where you can just literally do whatever you want. But don't be afraid to leave more salary than you normally would tonight because of how the pricing shakes out. So hope that gave you a great high-level overview of how this slate is going to turn out tonight on FanDuel and DraftKings. Again, for more information, check out our Occupy model. Ranks every player, FanDuel, DraftKings, Yahoo, for single-game contests with projected ownership. Our daily plug, which I already talked about, is going to be live this afternoon. Really gives you a full rundown of the slate. Goes into way more detail than I talked about here in this video, so make sure you check that out later today. And our lineup builder allows you to build up to 300 showdown lineups, FanDuel and DraftKings, using our optimal lineup criteria. Pre-built custom rules, everything you need to crush showdown. So before we get out of here, make sure you are subscribed. If you like this video and you're not subscribed, something like 75% of our watchers, our viewers, are not subscribed, which is crazy because they do come back. We have a lot of repeat viewers, so just make sure you subscribe. I know for me personally, there's a lot of videos where I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and I watched a new video. Just subscribe, right? It's the easiest way to get notified when we upload a new video, and we're doing 5-6 videos a week during the NFL season, so make sure you subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, lets us know that you like it, helps the channel out. Any questions, comment on the video, or join our Discord server. Happy to help you out. So Brian Jester, Occupy Fantasy, thank you for listening, and good luck in tonight's Cowboys and Giants showdown slate.